What if expansion doesn't always feel like moving forward? What if sometimes it feels like your body is forcing you to stop? What if it's sometimes being too much means that you're doing too much and not being enough? Well, hey, my beautiful people, welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. It's your girly goddess, Nyomi, and I am so glad that you are here with me on this Mindset Monday. And y'all, I am coming to you raw today, real honest, because this weekend I went through it. And this morning at my altar, the universe and God gave me a message that I didn't even know that I needed. But before I tell you that story, let me welcome you properly to the show. Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast, the season of healing intentionally. I am your host, Nyomi, and I am so glad that you are here. This season, we are slowing down to go deeper. Every Monday and Wednesday, we're creating a space of intentional healing, authentic conversations, and the kind of self-love that transforms from the inside out. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself intentionally is a foundation of true transformation. So whether you're on your own journey of rebirth, navigating life transitions, or simply choosing yourself, this is your safe space. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's heal together intentionally, because you deserve to embrace that beautiful person that you are. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, before we dive into this story, we're going to ground ourselves with our 60-second guided meditation. And today we're opening ourselves to receive, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't look like what we expected. So wherever you are right now, I want you just to close your eyes if you can and get comfortable. All right? All right, my beautiful souls, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I want you to just pause with me for a moment. I want you to put both of your feet on the floor, and I want you to place both hands on your heart. And take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly release through your mouth. I want you to feel your heartbeat. You're expanding. You're expanding even when it hurts, even when it doesn't look like progress. And now I want you to say quietly to yourself, and I want you to repeat after me. I am expanding. Now inhale. Exhale. Now I want you to say quietly to yourself, I release the need to do more. I release the guilt about resting. I release judgment of myself. I welcome expansion in all its forms, even the uncomfortable ones. I am open to receive. I take responsibility without blame. Now one more breath in. Release. Now say, I am expanding. I am receiving. I am unashamed. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people. Again, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something we do every episode just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand, all right? All right, so let me tell you about this weekend. This weekend, y'all, I was down. I was down with my chronic migraines. And when I say I was down with my chronic migraines, they were in rare form. And when I say rare form, I mean the kind of pain that makes you question everything. The kind of pain that makes it unbearable. I mean, dealing with chronic migraines for years, for years. And the doctors prescribed me every medication possible. And they actually prescribed me some new medication, some expensive medication, like over $1,000. And this even with my insurance. And you know what? It's not even working. So this weekend, I went through it. I went through it mentally. I went through it spiritually. I went through it emotionally. I went through it physically. Hell yes, I went through it. So Saturday morning, I woke up, and for the first 6 hours, I was in full gratitude, full joy, full thankfulness, despite of the hell of a night that I had with no sleep because of the pain. I still woke up grateful, right? But after those 6 hours, I got knocked right back down to what I thought was reality. The pain came back so unbearable. All I knew is I was just lying in the bed. I was just lying in my bed. Head felt so heavy. And as I was lying there, my mind was just racing. And all I was thinking about was, I was like, all these amazing things that are happening for me right now. I just shared it last week, last Monday, remember? I shared them on the week before that. I'm thinking about my May series for Ask Nyomi. I'm thinking about the app, Elevate Me Self-Discovery. I'm thinking about my guests. I'm thinking about my mother. I'm thinking about the house. I'm thinking about everything. And my human side was screaming at me, I can't afford to just lay here with this migraine like this. I can't afford this. I'm getting everything I asked for. I'm expanding. There's too much for me to do. And you know what? You know what I never once thought about? Not once I never thought, maybe the best medicine for me right now is to rest. I never thought about that. I never once thought about maybe the best medicine for me right now is to rest. So right now I had a battle going on with myself, the human side of myself and the soul side of myself. So all of Saturday, all of Sunday, I was sleeping on and off. My body was cleansing itself. Yes, my body was cleansing itself. My head felt so heavy that it was so hard for me to look right or left without feeling the pain. I don't know if y'all ever experienced that. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm laying there fighting. I'm fighting the rest. I'm fighting the stillness. I'm fighting the pause. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, I sat at my altar for years, manifesting this, praying for this, praying. I'm telling God that I'm ready for all of this, that I said that I am able to do all of this. And now that it's right here and I'm given to, now I'm feeling like I'm failing. Because that's what's in my mind. Because for me, in that moment, in that human moment, rest to me, it was equaling me that I was falling behind. Rest for me was equaling that I was not being productive. Rest for me at that moment was equaling that I was missing opportunities. That's what that rest was meaning to me in that human moment. But I was in my expansion mode, right? Everything was happening, right? The production just wrapped. The app is about to launch. The podcast is thriving. The guests are all lined up. My dreams are coming true. So how can I afford to rest? How can I afford to stop? How can I afford to just lie here when there's so much to do? That is what my human side was saying. That's the story that I have been telling myself all weekend long. All weekend long. But then this morning, This morning I woke up and I said to myself, okay, let's start this week over. Let's start this all over. So I got up, I took a shower, and I went to my altar. And I'm going to walk y'all through this. I lit my candles. I saged my room, my golden rose room. I saged my room. I saged my body. And I prayed over myself. And I asked God for guidance. I asked God for help through my weak moments. I asked God for strength. I asked God for help with my tongue, with my words to self, with my visions, with my steps. And then I asked God, are there any messages for me today? Are there any messages for me today? Whether it was through my cards or through my Bible. What am I to know today? See, I use cards sometimes, and I use my Bible sometimes. I allow God's Spirit to guide me to what I'm supposed to hear. And when I say that this is some real stuff, it is. So I'm sitting at my altar and I'm asking for those messages. And 6 cards fall out of the decks. 6 cards. 6 cards. And before I even read them, I'm taking pictures of them. So one, I can remember them, but also so I can read them clearly. But as I'm taking pictures of them, a photo pops up on my phone. But this photo is from a few years ago that I actually thought that I deleted to make room for new pictures. And this picture's of me standing. I'm standing tall, my hand on my hip and my eyes are lifted to the sky, standing in my power. I'm already living it, right? And I hadn't even read the cards yet. So then I read the cards. This is the message. So then I read the cards. And when I tell you every single one of them spoke directly to where I am right now, I mean it. So let me tell you what card 1 said. It says, do your best because you love it. Do your best and take action because you love it, not because you expect a reward. So when you take action without expecting a reward, you enjoy every action. And you can even receive greater rewards than you imagine. And then card 2, that's the sacral chakra, abundance. And it says, I am worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I watch my thoughts to ensure that I am honoring and respecting myself. That I honor myself by knowing that I am worthy to receive, that I am open to receive now. That I remind myself that it is a sign of strength to ask for help. When I prayed and I asked God today, I asked God, like, let me know that I am worthy. That I am worthy, that everything that I've gotten right now, that I'm worthy of receiving. Card 3 is to stay present in the new dream. For me to keep my attention on today and to stay in the present moment. That this is the beginning of a new understanding, of a new dream. Not to dwell on my yesterdays or my last years or my last weeks, but what I am doing right now. I had this amazing conversation with a guest that I interviewed last week. And we talked about the power of being in the present moment, of being aligned. And in this show, I had this aha moment that showed me that I missed the opportunity because I was thinking about something back then, that I missed the opportunity in that moment. But I didn't get it until that interview, until that conversation. And we do that so many times in our life. But that card today reminded me, like, no, you have to stay present. You have to take every day as a new day. As a new day. And card 4, don't take it personally. So when you see other people as they are, without taking it personally, you can never be hurt by what they say or do, even if others lie to you. Even if others lie to you, it's okay. Because they are lying to you because they are afraid that you would discover that they are not perfect. This weekend, I almost allowed that. And I had to check myself. I had to go back to your 4 agreements, girl. Go back to that. Don't take it personal. I said, tell her that's not about you. That is not about you. You have to understand what it is. And I have to sometimes say, it is much bigger than what you think it is. It is much bigger than what you think it is. And then card 5. The throat chakra. Truthfulness. I am truthful and honest with myself, that I aim to overcome any fears about speaking my truth. And I speak in a loving and considerate way. You see, my spiritual empowerment, it comes from telling the truth and letting others know who I am. Letting others know who I am. And others will positively uplift it when they hear my truth. So they will be uplifted when they hear my truth. And one of the most important cards that I can ever receive is to be impeccable. Being impeccable is mean that you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself for anything. You see, those 6 cards, that one message, a photo of a woman who was already living it. But I didn't even know it. She didn't even know it. That woman was me. And honestly, that person, that woman, that man, whoever that is, that person, that's you too. When I saw that, it put chills down my spine. It put tears in my eyes. Because I knew that God was talking to me. I knew that the universe was telling me something, honestly, that I did not want to hear. And let me tell you something why I didn't want to hear. Because I knew that my human side was fighting against my soul side all this weekend. And see, that human side got that ego in it. And when you fighting against that ego side, man, that's a fight. That's that battle with self. But then when you sit in it, and you sit in those still moments, see, me laying in my bed for 2 days, those are my still moments. That's when your body and your consciousness start to talk to you. You have no other thing but to listen. So when I woke up this morning and I took that shower and I sat at my altar and bam. So then when I said we're going to talk about expansion today, the unashamed expansion, I'm not going to lie. I thought about it on Friday. I'm like, how am I going to talk about expansion? Well, Saturday. Well, actually it's Saturday. How am I going to talk about expansion and I'm not doing the work? Because I'm expanded, but I'm not doing the work. See, I got it wrong. And it had to show me that expansion doesn't always look one way. Expansion doesn't always look like more. I don't know why I always get this trippy out wrong. This is the thing. I know from the time that I created the season of self-love 3 years ago, that I knew that God in the universe was using me. I knew this. I knew before I get on this podcast on Ask Nyomi, I always ask God to use me as a vessel. Always. And that means through my life, through things that happen through my life. So I can take whatever course it is, whatever certification that I can, that I want to, but it never compares to my life and the things that I go through on a daily basis that prepare me to speak with you all on how to prepare for moments like this. Because when the universe is telling me something that I don't want to hear, that you don't want to hear, something when the human side be fighting against all weekend, like telling your body to sit down and you're seeing something totally different and misreading it all. And you steady getting it wrong. And you don't have nobody to tell you what that looks like. But now you do, because I'm not afraid to tell you what my fuck ups are or tell you what, dang, I got that wrong, because that ain't what expansion looks like. This is what this expansion looks like. This is what unashamed expansion looks like. This is where that real, raw living, unapologetically unashamed looks like. Healing could be the most wonderful thing in the world, but it also can be the most messiest. But when you finish cleaning it up, it looks and it feels so beautiful. Because when you can sit and you can look at it, when you look at that reflection, that's beautiful. And I'm not just talking about the reflection in the mirror. I'm talking about the reflection when you look at others, when you look at other people in your community, when you look at other people from a different perspective. It hits different. It hits different. So I want to go back to the message about expansion and that it doesn't look like more. That sometimes expansion, that it looks like stop. That sometimes expansion means that your body is forcing you to rest so that you can receive. Sometimes expansion means pausing so you can integrate. Sometimes expansion means being still so you can hear what's next. And sometimes being too much doesn't mean taking up too much space. Sometimes it means that you're doing too much and not being enough. Did y'all get that? Sometimes doing too much is not being enough. Let me tell y'all what I learned this whole week. Not just the weekend, but this whole week that I shared with my husband. And it was like, dang, why do I feel like I need to do so much? And this was even before I got into the adult industry. This is like I've always just wanted to do so much, try to prove my worthiness. Just like I can always do everything. Like I can do a whole like I got a lot of things on my box that I can check that I've done. And I thought about it. And I said, because my beautiful father had a beautiful spirit, beautiful soul, very loving. But his work ethic was not there. Ethic was not there. He lost his father at a very young age. His father passed away when they were children themselves. And so he never really was able to embrace that person to provide for family. And my mother was the breadwinner. My mother went to school, college, had several different degrees, several different certifications, several different, that's what she did. And so I followed suit behind her, but also I watched him be, a stay-at-home father and not work. I think my father probably had maybe one job, and that's when I was an adult, and he didn't have that for long. And so in my mind, I wanted to make sure that I stayed busy, that I stayed providing in whatever way that I used my talents, whatever way that was, even in the adult industry. I did the adult industry and also did other businesses, so I wanted to make sure that I was continue to be multifaceted, to make sure that I was never looked at as being lazy, because I heard those words and I was always compared to my father because I was the complexion of my father and I favor my father. And so those words came to me like that. And so I tried to make sure that I would never be that. Does that make sense? And that appeared this week when I shared that with my husband. And it was like, that's it. That's why. Because he looks at me and he said, girl, do you know all what you do? Then that took me back about a month ago when Dr. Wood said, excuse me, do you know all that you do? And I was like, no. And he looked at me like, yes, you do a lot. And see, I don't know, because that's how I've been maneuvering all of my life. And when you maneuver like that all of your life, you do not know any different. My oldest baby told me that. Mom, that's how you maneuver. You work like that. My baby said, you know why people don't look like you do? Because you make it look so easy. So when you say you have a migraine, when you say you this, when you say you that, they look at you like, girl, no, you got it. Because you make it look so easy. So this is when God, and this is when the universe has to step in and say, you got to rest. Yes, you are expanding, but you have to allow for it to integrate. You have to allow to make space for it. Because you forgot what you did the 2-3 weeks before, up to production. You wasn't sleeping. See, I forgot about that. I forgot you're aging. I forgot that. I forgot you're still healing from your surgeries. I forgot about all of that. Because I'm in an excitement of everything that I wish is coming true. But then I have to remember that you still have to take care of self. You have to be in the moment. You have to be enough for self. because you can't do A, B, C, and D. Well, sorry, B, C, D, F, G if you ain't take care of A. So let's talk about the lesson. So I want to go back to the 6 cards for a second, because this is the lesson for this week. Being impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself for anything. I'm going to read that again. Take responsibility, but don't judge or blame yourself. So what does that look like in real life? What does that mean when you're lying in the bed with a migraine and your mind is screaming at you to get up and do more? It means this. I take responsibility for the fact that I need rest. I take responsibility for the fact that my body is asking me to pause. I take responsibility for the fact that I've been running on fumes and something has to give. But I don't judge myself for it. I don't blame myself for being human. I don't tell myself that I'm failing because I need rest. Taking responsibility without judgment. That's the work. That's the work. So now let's talk about the unashamed expansion and what that actually means. Because I think we've been getting it wrong. You see, we think that expansion means doing more, being visible everywhere, saying yes to everything, hustling harder, never stopping, always pushing forward, right? Right? But what if expansion also means, you heard me say also means resting more, being selective about where you show up, saying no to protect your energy, honoring your limits, pausing your body, pausing when your body asks you to, and receiving instead of always giving. But also, what if expansion isn't always comfortable? What if expansion sometimes looks like a migraine that forces you to stop? Huh? What if expansion sometimes feels like your body is shutting you down so your soul, listen to what I'm saying, so your soul can catch up to you? That's unashamed expansion. That's being too much, in the sense that you're being too much and your body is telling you to be more. To be more. So here's the other thing that hit me this morning, is that photo. First of all, that photo was taken from me from years ago. But the thing is that she was already living it. She was already standing in her power. She was already expansive. And she didn't know it yet. She didn't know it yet. Full red head, just standing fully in her power. And then the cards confirmed it. God, the universe confirmed it. Everything that I needed, I was already carrying. I don't need to do more to prove my worth. I don't need to hustle harder to deserve rest. I don't need to be productive every second to be valuable. I already have everything I need. I just need to stop long enough to receive it. And that's the message for you too. That's the message for you too. You already carry everything you need. The expansion that you're looking for, it's already happening. Even when it doesn't look like what you expected. Even when it feels like you're moving backwards. Even when your body forces you to stop, you're expanding. You're worthy. You're open to receive now. Now, I want to be real with you because I think we need to talk about the fact that expansion isn't always comfortable. As I share with you on my this weekend, right? Sometimes expansion hurts. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels like your body is betraying you. Sometimes it feels like it's falling apart, right? And in those moments, that is when we judge ourselves. That's when we blame ourselves. That's when we tell ourselves that we're not doing enough, that we're not strong enough, that we're not worthy enough. But what if that discomfort is the expansion? What if the pain in your body is saying, slow down, integrate, now receive? What if you don't have the power? What if you don't have to power through it? What if the rest is the medicine? What if the pausing is the progress? That's what I'm learning. That is what this weekend has taught me. That's what those 6 cards confirmed for me. So this week, in this final week of our season of growth, we're focusing on unashamed expansion. Being too much boldly. We're redefining what too much actually means. So this week is about honoring your body when it asks you to rest. Taking responsibility without judging yourself. Recognizing that expansion isn't always comfortable. Understanding that sometimes you have to stop to receive. And trusting that you already carry everything that you need. And on Action Wednesday, we're going to do the work. We're going to identify where you're doing too much and not being enough. We're going to create a rest practice. We're going to take responsibility without blame. But for today, I just want you to sit with this. What if the discomfort that you're feeling is the expansion? What if your body is forcing you to rest? And that is the medicine. What if you already have everything that you need? All right, so before we close out, I want to give you some reflection questions for this week, all right? So question 1. Where is my body asking me to rest that I'm ignoring? And I want you to be honest. Where are you pushing through when you should be pausing? Where's your body saying stop? And you're saying not yet. Question 2. Where am I judging or blaming myself for being human? Where are you taking responsibility and adding judgment? Where are you telling yourself that you're falling behind? Or you failing because you need rest? Or because you're tired? Or because you can't do it all? And question 3. What does expansion look like when it's uncomfortable? And I want you to think about it. So when have you expanded in ways that didn't feel like progress? When has growth felt like being knocked down? And when has rest been the medicine? And question 4. What am I doing too much of? And what do I need to be more of? So it's like, where are you doing when you should be doing or being? Where are you hustling when you should be receiving? Where are you proving when you should be resting? And question 5, what do I already carry that I've been looking for outside of myself? What are you seeking? Peace? What are you seeking? Worth, validation, rest, abundance that you already have within you? What are you chasing that you already have? What you chasing that's already here? Those are the questions, reflection questions, that you should be asking yourself this week. All right, so before we close out, I want just to leave you with this affirmation for this week, all right? So I want you to repeat this out loud with me if you can. I am expanding even when it's uncomfortable. I honor my body when it asks me to rest. I take responsibility without judging myself. I am worthy of receiving now. I already carry everything I need. I am unashamed of my expansion. I am unashamed of being too much. I am reclaimed. I am unashamed. I am expanding. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, my beautiful people. That was that was my Monday morning altar moment, and that was the message that I got. That was the lesson that I am still learning. And I share with you because I know that I am not the only one who needs to hear it. So if you are in expansion right now, if everything is happening and you feel like you can't keep up, this is for you. If your body is asking you to rest and you're fighting it, this is for you. If you are judging yourself for being human, for needing breaks, for not being able to do it all, this is for you. Expansion doesn't always look like more. Sometimes it looks like stop. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like receive. And you don't have to judge yourself for it. You can take responsibility without blame. You can honor your body without guilt. You can rest without shame. This week, I want you to pay attention to where your body is, where it's asking you to pause. I want you to pay attention where you're being too much and not being enough. And practice taking responsibility without judgment. And on Action Wednesday, we're going to do the practical work. We're going to create your rest practice. We're going to identify where expansion is happening, even when it doesn't look like progress. And if this episode has resonated with you, I ask that you share it with someone who needs to hear this. Leave a review. Send me a message on Instagram and tell me, where is your body asking you to rest that you've been ignoring? So until Action Wednesday, this is your Girly Goddess Nyomi reminding you to be good to one another and yourselves. And always keep it sexy. Love yourself first so you can love others well. Have an amazing day. Have a good one. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey of intentional healing. I hope that this conversation has filled your cup and reminded you of the beautiful and worthy person that you are. I want you to remember, healing isn't about rushing. It's about showing up for yourself with love and intention, one day at a time. So I'll see you back here Monday and Wednesday for another episode of the Season of Healing Intentionally, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. So until then, keep choosing you. And visit us at the seasonofselflovepodcast.com for show notes and resources. And remember to connect with me on Instagram at The Real Nyomi Banks. This has been brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, because your healing matters. You are loved. You are worthy, and you are exactly where you need to be. Take care.